here goes nothing. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your favorite mask collector's favorite mask collector, AJ Good, here at the House of Masks, where we unbox and review cool stuff almost every single day. And guys, let's have a little chat. So, over 8 years ago, almost a decade ago, I made a video where I coined the term oddball masks. Yes, I was the one that named that entire subsection of Slipknot mask collecting, and it eventually spilled over into other forms of collecting, such as Michael Myers mask collecting and Buckethead mask collecting. I also created the term Halloween hunting and that entire series of videos here on YouTube, but that's besides the point. We'll save that for another video. Anyways, now, essentially, what makes an oddball is how it's used, how often it's used, and who it's used by. There are no written rules for exactly how oddball masks come to be oddball masks, but I think that everybody is in agreement with what makes an oddball an oddball. An oddball mask is something that isn't used very often. Sometimes we only see these masks once. An oddball mask is something that isn't necessarily used by a member of the band, but definitely can be. Basically, an oddball mask is not the main mask used by said member, so it can be used by the member once or twice on stage, for an Instagram video, seen in music videos, or even worn by a fan. Some of these masks weren't worn at all and were just seen side stage during certain performances. And it kind of goes the same way whether you're collecting oddball Halloween masks or oddball Buckethead masks. They are just masks that are pretty uncommon. For instance, Corey Taylor's Ghost Glow mask is not an oddball. That was his regular mask that he used every single night, whereas the female Ghost Glow is an oddball. Someone just so happened to throw a female Ghost Glow up on stage during a Slipknot show, and Corey Taylor decided to interact with it, holding that female Ghost Glow out towards the crowd and creating a very cool visual moment, and then we never saw that mask used in Slipknot history ever again. So, Corey Taylor made that mask an oddball mask. Now, let's talk a little bit about today's video. Today, I won't be shooting a full history video on every single oddball out there. Rather, I will be showing you guys my entire oddball collection and talking a little bit about each piece in said collection. Now, this is going to be a very large video, which is why it's taken me so long to do. In fact, we talked about the original oddball video being released around 8 years ago, and I only had a few masks in that little sub collection. For that reason, amongst others, this video was pretty easy to shoot back then. Another reason is that the channel was a lot smaller back then. So not only was the collection smaller, but the channel itself was a lot smaller, thus giving me a lot less pressure. Now, I am definitely my own biggest critic. I'm surprised that I ever put any videos out ever because I am never truly happy with them, and I don't think that I ever will be, which creates this crazy pressure when it comes to bigger videos like this, which is why we don't do a whole lot of full collection update videos anymore. I don't even know how to start them, which is why you're getting this epic monologue explaining why it's taken so long to put this oddball video out. These videos just intimidate me, and I feel like there is a lot of pressure because I want them to be great. I want them to not only represent the channel well, but I want them to represent that collection well as well. Well. See what I mean? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So, with all of that out of the way, I decided to just buckle down and get it done. Here we are. Let's shoot an oddball video. Gotcha. I know we already played the intro once. I just thought that it was funny, okay? Now, if you made it this far into the video, congratulations, you now know about the giveaway. The giveaway? Yes, AJ, the giveaway. What giveaway? The giveaway. Since this is such a special occasion, and since you guys have waited so long for this video, I am going to do a giveaway, but not just any giveaway, a Slipknot Oddball mask giveaway. That's right, sometime later in the video, I'm not gonna tell you when, you'll just have to watch and see. We will be giving away a special vintage Slipknot Oddball mask. That's right, the good stuff. So, stay tuned. There will be a point in the video where I kind of interrupt it and let you guys know all the details about the giveaway and just how easy it will be to win said giveaway. How many more times do you think I can say giveaway in this video?
25.
All right, now let's go ahead and hop on into it. Again, this isn't a definitive Oddball history video or anything like that. This is really just me showing off my updated Oddball collection and talking a little bit about each piece in detail as we get to them. Now, most of my pieces are on the tip-top shelf here, so the only real way that I can think to do this is to take them down one by one and showcase them and just go as we go. So this won't be in any particular order. I won't be organizing the masks by time period or by member or anything like that. I'm just going to grab them down and do each one as they come, giggity. So, let's go. Yeah, it's a different day. I told you I was gonna take my time on this one, make sure that the video turns out exactly how I want it. So, as we begin, we're gonna go ahead and just show off the latest addition to my Oddball set. It is an Oddball that I have a few copies of, but for some reason, I was just like eBay drunk one night and bid on this thing for extremely cheap and ended up winning it. So here we have my 1997 Celebrations Dalmatian mask, and this is a Sid Wilson Oddball, and I would argue to say that it is one of the more well-known Oddball masks. It's definitely one of the first that were out there kind of floating around on the internet, and I'm not sure if I had it in my original Oddballs video or not, but I do know that these are pretty rare. They seem to be popping up more and more lately. Like, I've seen more on eBay in the last few years than I've ever seen. So I don't know if somebody just discovered like some new old stock or whatever, but this one's actually so nice that it still has the hang tag. My original copy is definitely not in great shape, and then I have a few of the Paleface 1-of-1 recreations. But yeah, dude, Sid Wilson Oddball. Sid was seen wearing this somewhere, we assume backstage with a fan, when he was going under the guise of DJ Dope Doggy Dog. And fun fact, Sid actually has one of our Paleface copies in his home studio, which I thought was pretty cool. When I was staying out there, it was one of the first things that I noticed, kind of chilling in between the kitchen area and the actual studio area. So that's dope. DJ Dope Doggy Dog. Dog. All right, enough. We've got the ball rolling with this 1997 Celebrations DJ Dope Doggy Dog Sid Wilson Dalmatian mask. Now, on to the next one. All right, moving right along, we have what I think is the second to last acquisition for my Oddball set, so it's another recent Oddball score. We have this vintage Caesar Merry Clown mask, and this might be the only mask in this set, if I am correct here, that is a double Oddball. And what I mean by that is this was used twice in the Oddball series, if that makes any sense. Not only was it worn in more recent years by a new member, V-Man was wearing it backstage somewhere, presumably while he was guitar teching for Jim, and it was also seen all the way back in the MFKR days. It was seen in the crowd. I assume that is some sort of fan out there wearing the Merry Clown mask, but that fan was also doing some other stuff. It looked like he was behind a merch table at one point, so maybe he was a roadie for Slipknot. We're not really sure what is going on with that or who was seen wearing the Merry Clown mask. But the Merry Clown mask is also a double Oddball in the sense that it is an Oddball that belongs to two different subject matters. So this is not only a Slipknot Oddball 2 times over, but it's also a Halloween / Michael Myers Oddball. This mask was actually seen at the beginning of the movie Halloween Resurrection, and this was worn by some sort of Michael Myers fanboy. There's a psychiatric patient at the beginning of the film who is wearing this mask, and eventually Michael Myers gives him a knife that he just used to kill a couple of the security guards at that facility, and you can see him just going on a tangent about Michael Myers and pulling the mask down over his face. And on top of all that, it's just a great classic design for a clown mask. Caesar really hit the nail on the head with its old vintage stuff, which I guess it had no choice but to be vintage at this point. But for the time being, it really is just like a time capsule of that era of mask making. And Caesar's cool, dude. They got vinyl masks, plastic vacuum form masks, a lot of masks that were used in a lot of films and with a lot of bands. For instance, Joey Jordison and Buckethead both wear a plastic vacuum formed 1983 Caesar male mask. Those blank white masks that Joey used throughout the self-titled and the Iowa days, and the mask that Buckethead still wears to this day, are both 1983 Caesars. Pretty cool, dude. I'm positive that this thing has been seen in more than what I just told you guys. I'm sure that it has roots in other horror films or TV shows and whatnot. So yeah, the second oddball in the video, this vintage Mary Clown mask by Cesar. All right, for the third entry in this video, we're gonna go ahead and switch it up a little bit and show you guys this thing. And a lot of you are probably watching this and wondering why one of my masks is on the list.
You know what? You just made the list!
And that is because when I shot my first video with any Slipknot member ever, Mr. Corey Taylor, we decided to take some photos after the video. Of course, I wanted to throw my mask on, but Corey was like, dude, why don't I wear the mask? And I was like, hell yeah, Corey Taylor wants to wear my signature mask. So that's exactly what he did. We got a picture of me with the mask on, and we got a picture of Corey with the mask on, and this officially became a Corey Taylor oddball mask. So this is definitely a very special piece in my collection. It has seen a lot of wear and tear over the years, and after Corey wore it, I went ahead and retired it to stop it from changing. I feel like when Corey Taylor wears your mask, that's probably how you're gonna want to keep it, and that's exactly how I wanted to preserve this piece. So it started off as just a flesh tone version of my mask, something that I would have on hand all the time to be able to throw on whenever fans would want photos with me. I eventually ended up adding some face paint to it because I was very inspired by the Gray chapter, and a lot of members of Slipknot were starting to add black and white face paint to their masks. So I guess it's fitting that around that time I shot a video with Corey Taylor, and this was the mask that was used, and Corey decided to throw it on. And there's a funny story behind Corey kind of taking the mask out of my hands and making fun of it because he said that it was a very sissified mask. It just had this elastic strap on there, and I was like, dude, what about Joey? And he's like, man, we gave Joey shit for the entirety of his time in the band for his mask. We were like, oh, you want to put your widow mask on? So I got some interesting and fun Slipknot lore behind one of my favorite members of Slipknot who definitely heavily inspires me, Mr. Joey Jordison, and it was all in good fun while Corey Taylor was throwing my mask on. So this one's definitely a unique and special one, and it is one that no one else has in their collection. And not only does no one else have one, I have the real one. So I have the only one, and it's the real one. I think that that's pretty cool, and I definitely love this piece. For any further information, this is a custom AJ Good mask. This was sculpted and finished by Mr. Connor DeLess, who went on to make some masks for Slipknot, including Corey Taylor's We Are Not Your Kind skull mask, the baseball-looking mask, whatever you want to call it. Connor DeLess is behind that. So yeah, dude, it just keeps going deeper. Giggity. All right, so for the next one, let's do something a little newer. You about ready to do that giveaway? Fuck you. Okay. All right, so the next mask is going to be this fairly new Spirit Halloween Android mask, and you could probably guess who used this.
Sid, number 0, I'm the DJ.
None other than Sid Wilson, the robot himself. He is essentially an android, so this is no surprise. And yeah, dude, this is a fairly new mask. This came out at Spirit Halloween a few years back, and I really haven't seen too many of them. I don't even think that I picked mine up from a Spirit Halloween because I was not able to find these at any of the Spirit Halloweens that I went to. So I ended up finding this online and grabbing it to throw it in my collection. Sid used this over on Instagram. Sid is just kind of cutting it up at his tables. And yeah, dude, nice, simple, easy, cheap, and very fitting oddball mask for Sid Wilson and for the collection. All right, so we just did new. Let's do another vintage piece. What we've got next is going to be one of my favorites out of the entire Oddball series. This is my Bram Stoker Cinema Secrets Bat Creature mask. And this thing is just an all-around cool piece. It is associated with some vampire stuff, which is awesome. It is also in the Spit It Out music video worn by not a member, but definitely in a weird, creepy context. It just looks so strange in that really quick shot of this guy in the bear suit. Something about that shot just always stuck with me, and even as a kid, I thought it was very neat that we saw this random mask in that Spit It Out music video. And it's pretty cool because it is just a vintage old piece. These are extremely hard to come by, especially in good condition. And this guy will be getting foam filled in the year 2025 for sure. I am starting to see what are the beginning signs of some stress cracks. And I don't want this thing to ever start rotting, so I'm definitely going to have to get it taken care of soon, along with quite a few other pieces in my collection. There's a few buckethead oddballs and some old school original Slipknot pieces that are definitely on the list for foam filling, and I'd love to get around to that soon. So hopefully we can do that. And if you guys are interested in seeing content based around those foam fillings, let me know. If not, I will obviously shoot videos on these pieces once they come back foam filled. But if you guys would like to see the process of that or anything of that nature, then let me know. I am definitely not above putting out some more educational style videos on that sort of process. But yeah, dude, we got the Bram Stoker Bat Creature mask. Again, I love this thing. Definitely one of probably my top 5 favorite oddball pieces of all time, and definitely probably one of my top 5 pieces in my oddball collection. Again, it is a Cinema Secrets piece, and it is very, very rare. However, there were a few different versions of this. This is what would be considered like the economy version. It's obviously bald, has a pretty basic paint job. There are no bells and whistles on this. It is about as simple as it gets, but there was a very, very nice deluxe version that had a way different paint job and had some hair added to it and whatnot. So I think that's pretty cool. I do believe that Slipknot did use the basic economy version. It just seems to line up, and obviously they probably weren't going to want to spend a crazy amount of money on a mask that was seen in a 3-second shot, probably less than 3 seconds to be honest, in one of their first music videos. So yeah, dude, the Bram Stoker's Dracula Bat Creature. Super, super cool one. You know what? We did a newer oddball, and then we did a vintage oddball, and I think we're going to do another new oddball, and yet again, another Spirit Halloween piece. This is not quite as new as the Android mask. These masks have been floating around for probably close to 10 years now, maybe more, I'm not sure. Just another random cheap piece. This was also seen on Instagram, but this was seen over on Sean Crahan's Instagram. There is this photo of Sean Crahan wearing this thing, and it's got a very blue hue to the photo, and I believe that Sean also has blue face paint on underneath the mask. And you can see the face paint in the eye holes, because in Sean's picture, the eye holes to this mask actually have the mesh removed, so you can see straight through them. You get a nice clear shot of Clown's eyes. And now that I'm thinking of it, which you guys will see on the screen right now, I can't remember if the mesh was taken out of the mouth or still left in. I'm not sure. It really was just the most random of random Clown photos. You know, Clown was always posting some artsy shots back in the day, and this was just one of them that seemingly got lost amongst the mix. But I always remembered it because I knew that you could find these pieces over at Spirit. So I stocked up on some just in case. You never know when these pieces are going to become rare. Now I have a copy that I can convert, and by convert, I mean remove the mesh, and a copy that I can leave alone, including leaving the hang tag on, because that always ups the value. So there you go. Yet another fairly new oddball mask. What's next? All right, we are on a roll here, and we've kind of got a pattern going, and I'm not going to break that. So I give you yet another vintage oddball. We just did new, now we're doing old again. I think that you guys are following. What we have here is a vinyl Paper Magic Group clown mask. This definitely has to be one of the earliest oddball pieces on the list, not in a sense that it's one of the oldest masks, but in a sense of when we saw it. We saw this mask right after the MFKR era was done, dead, and put away. This was seen very, very early self-titled. In fact, it was seen right around the beginning of the Ozfest tour. You can see this mask on 2 separate occasions. I believe that a roadie was the one that was wearing this piece, and he kind of rushed the stage and got beat up by Slipknot and taken off stage. It was just something that they did back then with their roadies, and it wasn't uncommon for their roadies, especially around the Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat era, to be wearing masks alongside the band. They would come out, do weird stuff, yada, yada, yada. Just be a part of the show. Thankfully, Slipknot kind of stopped doing that, although a lot of footage recently has come out from these bootleggers, and there is still footage of the roadies being very involved in the shows. They just happen to be dressed like roadies. They're not dressed up, they're not wearing jumpsuits or masks. But yeah, dude, one of the earliest sightings is this Paper Magic Group clown mask. And this is just a cool piece, dude. Like, I love this thing. Very Emmett Kelly feeling. It's almost like a better take on the Emmett Kelly. I really like the fact that we've got a little bit more color going on here with the eyes and obviously with the hair, which doesn't seem to fit this thing at all, by the way. But something about it just works. It's a really cool piece. It's also vinyl, so it will never rot. I only have one of these in my collection, but I do see them pop up from time to time on eBay and on Marketplace. So if you guys are interested in starting your own oddball set, this is definitely a very cool vintage piece that shouldn't be too extremely hard to acquire and will be a great looking piece in your collection. Again, the Paper Magic Group Clown Mask. It's vinyl.
Spinal.
We gon' keep clowning. After all, I am a certified gooner. So what we've got now is the 1980s Great Cover-Up Clown Mask, as worn by... Nope, not Clown. It was actually worn by Craig. That's right, this clown mask here was worn by Craig back in the Mate Feed Kill Repeat days, and as far as I know, it was only worn for one show, and still to this day, the only photo or footage that the general public has seen of this thing in use by Craig is this really bad screenshot right here. Other than that, we have only ever seen it one more time a long time later. It was actually 2006. We got a magazine interview with Clown, and there's a photo of him holding what is left of this clown mask. It is pretty much mask soup at this point. It is flat and just looks like someone threw up a clown mask onto the carpet and it got scraped up and it just took things with it. There's like stuff stuck in it, and it's pretty much gone in those photos, and that was almost 20 years ago, so it's safe to say that that thing definitely doesn't exist anymore.
Hey, hi, yes, hello, it's Editor AJ here. I am currently editing this video, obviously, and while gathering reference, I realized that there is a more recent photo than the one that I just showed you of this clown mask. So, shout out to Mike Covert for this amazing photo of the Great Cover-Up Clown, just absolutely obliterated. This has to be somewhat recent. I'm talking the last 10 years. I have no idea when this photo was posted or where it was posted or who took the photo or what, but I will say that the mask is somehow in even worse shape than it was in 2006. It's kind of crazy that it made it to this point and that someone thought to take a picture of it and post it somewhere. So yeah, shout out to Mike Covert. This is what the real deal last looked like. So 2025, who knows, man? I don't know. Maybe it does still exist.
And these things are extremely rare, probably the rarest, or at least tied for first place as the rarest oddball mask in my collection, because guess what? This one isn't an original. This is actually a 1-to-1 scale recreation by Paleface & Co. But I do have the only original Great Cover-Up Clown known to man. This is the only copy that exists, and when I got it, it was pretty badly rotted. It didn't seem to be getting any worse, but I didn't want to take any chances with it, so I went ahead and got it foam filled. After all, this is a very important piece in my collection, a very important piece of Slipknot history, and it's the only one out there. It's the only one in existence, so among collectors, this is the only Great Cover-Up Clown. You will see these replicas out there, and sometimes you will see some of those old Party City Licorice clowns that get repainted to look like these because they are the same sculpt. But at the end of the day, this is the only OG Great Cover-Up Clown out there, and it's still tagged. Like, how crazy is that? I could not believe it when I finally tracked one of these down and got it into my collection. No matter how bad a shape it was in, it still exists. It's still definitely identifiable. It looks like that old mask, and we were able to salvage it and keep it from getting any worse, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, obviously, I would love to find one in mint condition one day, but for right now, this one being the only one in existence is pretty fucking cool, and I have no complaints about that. Do we keep on clowning, or do we go a Craig route? Do you guys want another oddball clown or another oddball Craig mask? Let me know down below, and if your comment gets 4,000 likes, that's the mask I'll choose next. All right, hell yeah, you chose well. We've got another Craig mask, not a clown mask. Actually, the only reason that I have this one next up is because I had to take that original clown back over to the Craig section, and this was right next to it, so it was just ease of access. Anyways, we've got another really weird Craig mask. We're all used to seeing Craig with spikes. He's had spikes since the self-titled record, but before that, he didn't know who he was. This boy was wearing pantyhose. This boy was the second clown in Slipknot. This boy be wearing a werewolf mask. Wearing a werewolf mask? wearing wolf mask. Yeah, what can we really say? Oddball Craig mask. It is an old Topstone wolf mask. This was seen used by Craig during one show. Not sure why. He was just like, I'm gonna be something different every time. I'm gonna be a fire truck next week.
Ian, what would you like to be when you grow up? Here it.
Imagine Craig up there in a fucking like Power Rangers mask or something. Again, nothing too crazy. This guy has been in all of the Oddball videos so far, so there's not a whole lot to say. And again, it was only worn during one show, so I mean, it is what it is. Vintage Topstone wolf mask as used by Craig Jones in the MFKR days. All right, I'm not gonna lie, I specifically picked this one out just now because we were talking about the rarity of that old great cover-up clown, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the rarity of this Reagan piece right here. We should call this thing Rare-gan. Anyways, this is hands down my favorite Oddball mask of all time. And again, I do believe that I am the only collector out there to own this. This is a very old President Reagan mask, and it is very obscure. I can't believe that this thing even still exists. It is starting to get a little crispy, so this is going to be one of the pieces that gets foam filled. And if this one ever were to disappear, we would just have to hope that another one popped up one day, but we spent a very long time trying to identify this thing, and the furthest that we got is that it is this Reagan mask, because we have absolutely no idea who made it. We have no idea of the time period that these were produced. We don't know where they were sold, and we were barely even able to figure out what the mask was before we found this thing. I remember when we were pretty sure that it was a West German Al Bundy mask. I remember when we thought that it was like some sort of like vampire or something. You can see it in Halloween 4. We thought it was that as well. But finally, thanks to these leaks, we were able to identify this thing as an old Reagan mask. And again, this is the only copy. Now, this thing was seen side stage for the longest time. We had seen footage of this thing on the side of the stage at various shows in the year 2000. And even more recent than that, we got to see this thing over the West German clown with actual footage. Again, those recent leaks have just been a godsend. Can you stop making noise? I'm trying to shoot a video. The building is heated by a boiler, and I swear to God, it only wants to make heat while I'm trying to record, so all day it'll be really quiet in here. And now that it's like 11 p.m., the boiler's like, I'm gonna go ahead and stretch these pipes out and make a bunch of fucking creaky noises. I'm a 200-year-old building. Grow up. As I was saying, this is my favorite Oddball. There's just something about it. Something about the way that it was used. Something about the fact that we couldn't identify it for the longest time. Something about the fact that we did finally identify it, and it's this weird, unknown Reagan mask. And I mean, honestly, Reagan masks are already pretty weird, but this one is a new level of creepy. There's like it's just painted strange. Like, why are his lips so yellow? I don't understand why does he have powder on his chin? It's a fucking weird mask, and I love everything about it. I love the fact that Clown was putting that on over other masks and wearing it very sporadically during shows. I don't know. I love this thing. It's pretty fucking cool. It's the only one, and this is absolutely hands down my favorite Oddball, not just in the world of Oddballs, but for my collection as well. Which reminds me, don't let me forget to remind you guys at the end of this video to let me know what your favorite Oddball is. But we gotta get through at least my whole collection, and then you guys can make your pick. And it doesn't have to be something out of my collection. It can be one that I don't own yet. But not yet. Just don't let me forget to ask you guys that at the end of the video. I need the engagement.
Remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Alright guys, so the next Oddball from my collection is going to be this cool old Ben Cooper clown mask. And this thing is cool for a few different reasons. One, being the way that it was used, which we will talk about here in just a second. And two, because of the maker/manufacturer. This was put out and released by Ben Cooper and Collegeville. And if you guys know anything about the old Ben Cooper pieces, it's that they really didn't mess with latex masks like this too often. Ben Cooper is well known for a very specific type of mask. They were these extremely basic plastic face masks that would be sold in a neat little box that also had a very basic costume to accompany it. And I'm betting that if you asked your grandparents or maybe even your parents if they remember the old Ben Cooper Collegeville pieces, they would remember them very well, and there's a good chance that they had a few as kids. Now, loads of these pieces have been lost to time, but they are classics, and there is a pretty big market and a circuit of collectors for those old Collegeville pieces. However, like I said, Ben Cooper and Collegeville really did not mess with latex too often, so it was a rare sight to see a full latex mask put out by Ben Cooper back in the day, and that's exactly what this is. Now, let's talk about what makes it an oddball. This mask was actually used by Clown on the Tattoo the Earth tour. He pulled it over his Tattoo the Earth mask. I don't know why, I don't know how. My best guess is that a fan threw the mask up on stage and he decided to pick it up and throw it on for a very short time, because we only have the one photo, but I absolutely love stuff like this. I love the fact that it is yet another classic old Clown mask, and I love maskception. So anytime that I got to see Clown or anybody put another mask over their mask, I always thought that that was super, super cool and very fitting for the band. It kind of brought it back to the old weirder MFKR times during the best time, Tattoo the Earth, this very angry, aggressive, more serious Slipknot time period. So I absolutely love that, you know? So there you have it, a vintage Ben Cooper latex clown mask. You guys hear that? You know what that sound means. Lightning round. Let's see how fast we can crack some of these guys out. First up, we have this Asian/Oriental man. Please don't cancel me. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not. This is a translucent plastic mask used by Sid Wilson in his solo project for a music video called The Cure. Next up, we have yet another translucent plastic face mask. This one was used by Clown over on Instagram. Just a real quick photo of him wearing one of these vintage copies. This is not the modern day American version that you find in Spirit Halloween. This is not a British female version that you would find pretty much anywhere 10, 15 years ago. And this is not the Japanese version that is very heavily used among collectors when doing their All Hope Is Gone Clown conversions. This is a very specific vintage version. Speaking of Clown, next up we have this weird new age vinyl old hag mask. This looks like it would have been found at some sort of Dollar General, but I've never seen them in person. I've only seen them secondhand on Marketplace and on eBay. Clown put this on the back of one of his .5 masks, assumably for a concert, but there is only one photo that I can think of that is a backstage photo of Clown turned around with this mask on the back of his actual .5 mask, and Sid Wilson is kind of like licking this mask or something. I don't know. Next up, we have a red and white pair of Hanya masks as seen on the front of Jay Weinberg's drum kit for a show in Japan, I believe. Trick or Treat Studios Dr. Decker mask from Nightbreed. This was seen in the Solway Firth video worn by a fan. Here we have a 2003 Don Post Michael Myers mask. This was seen in a photo of Corey Taylor holding this mask live on stage during the .5 The Gray Chapter era. Slam dummy mask, not to be confused with the Crash dummy mask. The Crash dummy mask was used by Corey Taylor as his first mask in Slipknot. It was obviously converted. Corey Taylor can also be seen wearing the Slam mask in a studio somewhere, presumably around 2002. Corey also wore one of these converted years and years later for the Paul Gray memorial shows in 2011. The converted version of that mask would not be considered an oddball because he wore it for multiple shows, but this was only ever seen worn by Corey once in that studio photo. And last but not least for this lightning round, this Forum Novelties, yes, the same as the original Jester, deer mask. This was seen used by a fan during a photo shoot of some sort in the Iowa days. He got his picture taken with the band in this mask for some reason. And that's gonna do it for this lightning round. knew it would come to this. Guys, I didn't want to do this, but before we go any further, we need to talk about something. We've reached a point in this subgenre of Slipknot mask collecting where things are starting to get a little confusing. So we're going to talk about Otter-balls.
But what the hell, boy?
Not that kind of otter and not that kind of balls. I'm talking about balls that are odder than the oddballs that we're covering already. That still sounds weird. We've got oddballs and then we've got Otter-balls, and the more masks that kind of come out in this subsection of collecting, the harder it is to decipher what exactly an oddball is. And if you guys remember at the beginning of this video, I said there were no real rules for oddball collecting outside of what we all really know. But we've got some masks that don't quite fit this list and don't quite fit the main Slipknot mask list, and I just don't know what to do about it. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about Otter-balls. Let me ask you this. Would you consider Sid Wilson's British civilian duty gas mask an oddball mask? Probably not, right? I mean, it was Sid's main mask for the self-titled era. And we saw it again for later shows like the Paul Gray memorial shows. But what if I told you that Joey Jordison actually wore the BCD before Sid for one show? Does that make it an oddball mask? This is where things start to get a little confusing. There are masks like this in Slipknot's history. We've got the BCD, we've got different masks like the We Are Not Your Kind Clown concept mask that was made for Clown a long time ago, but was never actually used by Clown, but ended up being used as the inspiration for his We Are Not Your Kind clown mask. We've got masks that were used in one single video, such as Sid Wilson's Yin mask, which is now owned by me. And as much as I want that to be a main Slipknot mask and put on Sid Wilson's main mask roster, I just don't know if it is. There are other questionable pieces that are strictly circumstantial. For instance, Sid Wilson gifted me his stage-used The Insofar visor, but when he came to visit, he wore my The Insofar visor replica. It's the same exact piece, it's just not his. It wasn't the stage-used version that we saw for that tour. So is that now an oddball? The real one is a main mask from Sid Wilson, but my copy is an oddball? I don't know. So I give you the concept of Otter-balls. Masks that are just a little too specific, a little too niche, a little too circumstantial to really be an oddball, but also aren't the main masks of Slipknot. Now, I don't know, guys.
If you or a loved one has been affected by Otter-balls, seek help. I mean, seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? That was all just a skit to talk about a weird concept for an already weird concept of mask collecting. It's really not that deep, dude.
Who up ottering they balls right now? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some more main oddball masks before we get on to that giveaway. Giveaway? Yes, the giveaway. We're not doing this again. All right, so right here we've got a Corey mask, but it's not one of Corey's masks. This is actually Jay Weinberg's first mask, if you want to consider an oddball mask his first mask. Now, obviously, his first real mask is the .5 The Gray Chapter mask, but this is a Jay Weinberg oddball mask because all the way back in 2001, when Slipknot were on their Iowa run, there is a photo and a video of Jay Weinberg rocking this mask backstage with Slipknot. Jay was just a little kid, probably 8 years old. How crazy is that? I guess anything can happen, huh? So, this mask here was made by artist Jeremy Bohr along with a few other self-titled mask replicas. And these things were awesome for back in the day. These were hands down one of the earliest iterations of Slipknot mask replicas. These were the primitive internet days, and mask collecting definitely isn't what it is right now. We didn't have the aid of YouTube or Instagram or Facebook groups, and there were hardly even forums back in the day. So mask makers were far and few between. People really didn't even know that that was something that you could do, but Jeremy Bohr was knocking these things out, and oddly enough, Jay Weinberg ended up with one, and then he ended up at a Slipknot show with Slipknot, and the photo was taken, and the rest is history. So there you go. Jay Weinberg's first mask and his first oddball mask. Moving right along, we've got a good one here, and this was not a mask used by any member, rather a mask seen on Side Stage for a few shows. We've got the green Mini Alien by Distortions Unlimited, and if you know anything about the House of Masks, you know that we love Distortions. Distortions is a classic Halloween company that started with masks and is now doing just about everything, mainly giant animatronics for haunts. But man, Distortions is just so cool, and there's not a whole lot to say about the mask itself. It is what it is. I have no idea how it ended up on side stage for Slipknot's set, but I know that they must have been partial to this mask because they did have it on some speakers here and there throughout 2000. A little fun fact about this oddball specifically is that it is one of the first oddballs that we oddballed. It was one of the first masks outside of Slipknot's main masks that we associated with Slipknot, and people started collecting because it was associated with Slipknot, and it really made us start looking into other pieces that would eventually become known as oddballs. Again, not too much to say about the mask itself. I have covered it in my other oddball videos, but I will say again that we love Distortions. Next up, we have a really fun one. This is something that people wanted to see for a long time, and we were finally able to put it out. This is an old Savage Eye Killer Clown's mask, and this was worn once again over the West German clown of Sean Cran during the Mate Feed Kill Repeat days. And by days, I mean he did this at one show for not really a long time at all. He just threw it over his West German clown, wore it for a few, and then took it off, and we really never saw it again. But people wanted to see this footage forever. There were definitely rumors in the hobby that kind of started with bootleggers telling us about a Mate Feed Kill Repeat Killer Clowns mask that Sean wore, but we never really got to see it. And then we finally got to see screenshots, and they were pretty bad, and then eventually we got to see the footage thanks to mfkr1.com, I think. So shout out to them. And eventually Mike Coverup tracked one down and was able to provide us with these incredible one-of-one replica slash recasts. Very cool, very weird, and once again, I am a fan of Maskception. It seems like Sean really likes throwing other masks on top of his other masks, and I just think that that adds a really cool level of weirdness to the already weird thing that's going on. So, Savage Eye Killer Clown's mask from the MFKR days. And I think last but not least, for tonight anyways, as far as me filming goes, because it's well after 1 a.m. and I'm ready for bed, we have this Winky the Dwarf Cat mask. Oh, sorry, that's not Winky. We have an Oliver Tree mask. I'm sorry, it's not an Oliver Tree mask either. This is a Sid Wilson oddball. This is a classic. This is, again, one of the first oddballs that really made us start thinking about the concept of oddballs. This is a 1997 Paper Magic Group Monk mask. I've covered this mask in both of my other oddball videos, so there's not really going to be too much for me to say about it here, but again, Sid Wilson can be seen wearing this at some sort of toy fair or maybe toy shop or maybe even with his personal collection. I should probably reach out to him and ask about this mask and what exactly was going on there, but it's him in a clown suit, I think, and he is holding a Transformers toy, which we all know Sid loves Transformers, but I have no idea what was going on with this mask. Maybe that mask was just in the booth or wherever he was, and he decided to throw it on for that photo, or maybe this was his mask. I don't know, but I do know one thing. This mask can be yours. That's right, it's time for the giveaway. I figured this would be a cool one to give away because it is a vintage mask. It is a Sid Wilson oddball, and we love Sid here at the House of Masks. It is a vinyl mask, which is good for two reasons. It won't ever rot, which means whoever wins it can keep it forever, and if you're allergic to latex, it's not going to matter. This thing's basically plastic, but it feels like a latex mask. So, this is the mask for the giveaway. This PMG Monk mask, this Sid Wilson oddball. And listen, entering to win this piece is as easy as it gets, because all I need you to do is comment something down below. You can tell me what your favorite House of Masks video is. You can tell me happy birthday. It's not my birthday. You can tell me who broke your heart. Or, if you're smart, you'll kill two birds with one stone and you'll tell me what your favorite oddball is. Remember, I said to remind me to tell you guys that? Well, this is me reminding myself to tell you guys that. Just go down to the comments section and let me know something viable. I don't want you to just type random letters. That's stupid. Anybody that comments something worthwhile down below will be entered to win this mask. And I'll go ahead and say that when the video either gets 5,000 likes or it hits 50,000 views, I will draw a winner live here on YouTube. So that's up to you guys. It could be done in 2 weeks, it could be done in a year, or we could never get there and no one will ever win the mask. I don't know. But there's only one way to make that happen. So go ahead and do what you need to do. Comment down below and let's get on with this giveaway. Good luck. I know that little joke kind of makes it seem like I hate making this video, but it's actually the contrary. I just really want to do this one right, so I'm taking my time, and it is most definitely taking some time, but I am very happy with what I've gotten so far. So, let's jump right back on into the Oddball collection and show off a very unique oddball. And this one is unique in the sense that it is handmade by an artist in the hobby. A lot of the oddballs that you've seen on this list so far are obviously old mass-produced pieces, vintage pieces from old school mask companies that you could walk into just about any store that sold masks and find. And on top of the fact that most of these are old school vintage pieces, they were also used a lot longer ago than what this one was. This is a fairly recent, if not the most recent oddball on this set, and it was handmade by an actual mask maker that is in the hobby, and that mask maker is Hydro Tristan. And this piece was obviously made for Jay Weinberg. It is a Jay Weinberg The Insofar teeth mask with a very cool custom paint job on it. And this is yet another Jay Weinberg oddball that was seen hanging from the front of his drum set. Tristan was cool enough to hook me up with one of these pieces before I even knew that this oddball existed. He sent this thing in on a Mailbox Monday a while back, and I didn't realize what it was until I was reading the note about what it was. But yeah, dude, this is a Jay Weinberg oddball, and as far as I know, Jay and myself are the only two people with this mask. So, on top of it being a handmade oddball, it is straight from the OG maker, and me and Jay are the only two people out there with copies. Again, if you feel like looking up Tristan on Instagram, it is at Hydro Tristan. He makes very, very cool pieces. He actually made another piece that he sent in with this Jay Weinberg piece, and I absolutely love that. But I'm not gonna tell you anymore. The rest is in your hands. But I do have another one-off, or I guess two-off, Jay Weinberg oddball. Here in this shadow box is yet another Jay Weinberg oddball and yet another The Insofar oddball. This is a custom Jay Weinberg piece that was made by our good friend Enrico Palma. He made one for fun to kind of pay tribute to Jay Weinberg coming over to Italy, which is where Enrico is based out of, and he made a custom Jay Weinberg Italy inspired piece, and he paid homage to Italy by basing this Jay Weinberg mask off of a very famous stone garden that's out there. It's slipping my mind what the name of that is right now, so I do apologize for that, but I'm sure that anybody familiar with what I'm talking about knows exactly what I'm talking about. And again, I just saw Enrico post this on Instagram because I follow him. I thought that it looked awesome, so I texted Jay and was like, yo, you gotta see this thing. So I showed it to him, and he was like, dude, that's amazing. Is there any way that he would be able to get that to me? I would love to have it, and I will wear it live when we go to Italy. So I hit up Enrico, and I was like, yo, dude, you got to get this thing to Jay. So we coordinated a deal. The mask actually came to me first, so I got to wear it and see it before anybody even knew about it, which was very cool. And then to repay me for that setup, he actually sent me the second copy. So again, I believe that Jay Weinberg and myself are the only two to have this, which is kind of crazy to think about how many pieces me and Jay have like that in common. It's pretty weird. We have a matching pair of the last mask, which I just showed you guys, the one that was made by Hydro Tristan. We have a matching pair of this one from Enrique. We have our stage-used The Insofar teeth masks. I have one, Jay has the other. And we also have pieces from that Paul Booth series that we did, which I guess those could also be considered oddballs. I mean, they are technically oddballs. They were worn by Jay. They have to do with Jay. I don't know. This is where those Otter-balls start to get tricky. I'm going to keep the Paul Booth masks off of this list, although maybe in the future we will add them to it, but it's just kind of a gray area. So yeah, dude, anyways, just wanted to point out that me and Jay Weinberg have quite the set of matching friend masks, which is amazing. Who else can say that? Also, just for fun and because it's awesome, Enrico made this cool little shadow box to display the mask in, and I can't wait till I have a place to properly display this, because where it is, it doesn't get a whole lot of light, so it's kind of hard to see in there. which is also why I just took it out of the box. I didn't want the glare to kind of be annoying, but it's very, very cool and definitely a unique piece in the collection and specifically for the Oddball set. So there you go. Next up, we have just an absolute abomination of a creation thrown together and worn, of course, by Mr. Sid Wilson, because only he could pull off something as silly as this. We've got an all-cloth chicken mask. It's actually only a half mask, so the bottom of your face is exposed under there. You can kind of see the mannequin's mouth down there. We've got some white shades on it, and we have this very cool thrush trucker hat. Now, this oddball was worn by Sid Wilson, presumably backstage, maybe at like Mayhem Fest, so I'm thinking like 2012 or something. I could be wrong about that. There's absolutely no information about the photo. I'm just looking at what's going on and looking at the tattoos that Sid has and the clothes that he's wearing, and I assume it's sometime around then. And this is one of those OG oddballs. This is one of the ones that we just kind of knew needed to be a part of whatever this thing that we were coming up with was. And it's a goofy one, man. It is just the full-blown thrush guy. We got the thrush bird on the hat, and then a chicken with some sunglasses. I don't even know what to say about this. A chicken with some sunglasses, dude.
This summer, Sid Wilson is chicken with sunglasses.
I always kind of thought that this one was neat because it incorporated so many pieces, including a hat. And speaking of hats, I am such a good YouTuber that I'm hitting a fucking seamless transition right now. We've got Joey Jordison's Mental Devil hat. Kind of looked like it was on that mask weird. Anyways, this is a very cool piece. Is it an oddball? I don't know. It's a hat. He wore the hat with his regular mask. So do with it what you will. Is it an oddball? Is it an Otter-ball? Is it a Otter-ball? Does it not belong on the list? See what I did there? I don't know. I just really like this piece. I feel like it matches with Joey's general aesthetic pretty well. Like, he was always this very evil, dark-looking thing, but he was also very small and had a lot of feminine traits, and this hat and the devil horns that he wore even later in 2000 were always pretty kawaii. So, the Joey Jordison Mate Feed Kill Repeat Mental Devil hat. And speaking of devils, god damn, another fucking flawless transition. Here we have yet another one of those shiny plastic pieces. This time we have a devil mask. And I remember when you could find these just about anywhere. Dollar stores, Walmart, Kroger, you name it, this mask was all over the place. I'm pretty sure that I got mine at a Menards. And this is a pretty insignificant oddball, not something that was used or worn on stage, but something that was seen in a photo posted by Clown. It was actually just this mask underneath of his regular silver We Are Not Your Kind mask, and you could see these devil horns poking up and a little bit of the mask underneath of Clown's mask. So even though it's not the craziest oddball of time, it is nice to still see current day oddballs. That was only a few years ago, and I think that it was used pretty cool. I love masks that accent other masks, and once again, it's Clown creating maskception. Again, he's pretty notorious for that, and you love to see it. So, horn if you're honky, I mean honk if you're horny, brother.
What's that oddball? In the arms of the angels, fly away from here, from this cold, dark hotel room, and that endlessness that you fear. You are pulled from the wreckage of your silent. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here.
Hi, I'm AJ Good. Will you become a patron today for your favorite mask channel? Every day, the House of Masks is creating videos that focus on a very niche subject matter, that is masks. And with no support from YouTube itself, it's only right that you click the link down below in the description of this video, or the pinned comment, and become a patron today. For just $5 a month, only about 17 cents a day. You'll help support the channel that is single-handedly bridging gaps in the hobby that no one else is, while also educating and entertaining you almost daily. Join online in the next 30 minutes, and you'll get all the great rewards that come with the $5 tier. Early access to all House of Masks videos, access to a private Facebook group allowing you to connect with me directly, as well as the rest of the VIPs. And a look at exclusive content that the rest of the world won't ever see, among many other perks.
Right now, YouTubers need you. Your pledge says, I'm here to help, and I like cool shit. And my dick is huge. Please pledge now, or you're kind of a pussy.
They just don't make them like they used to. Oh my god, what are you doing in here? Get the fuck out of here!
It's Pigtail Girl!
Moving along through my oddball collection, the next mask that we have up on the table here is an old Don Post piece simply titled Pigtails. I wonder why. Yeah, as I mentioned, this is an old Don Post piece. It's not super old. We're not talking like a 70s mask. This would have been somewhere around the late 90s, early 2000s, and you would have seen this in plenty of different places. I think that the one that I have here has a tag that accompanies it, and it still has a Kmart price tag on it, which is pretty cool. But the reason that I keep mentioning that this is a Don Post piece is because there is an extremely similar mask that was made by a manufacturer over in Germany. It is a slightly different sculpt, and the hair is definitely different, but if you didn't know any better, you would think that they were the exact same mask. I do believe that the Don Post version is the one that was seen on Slipknot's stage here, thus making it an oddball. So, Don Post Pigtails. Next up, probably one of my least favorite masks in the collection, but it is an oddball nonetheless. This is the Volume 3 Maggot mask. This was seen on the cover of the Volume 3 album as well as in the Vermilion music video, and it looks pretty goofy here because I've updated this mask and I actually added real straps on the back there and a real zipper. So I've got this thing on a female mannequin head and it is strapped down pretty tight, so it kind of looks a little wonky, but honestly, I don't like this mask at all, and there's not really a way to make it look any worse than the actual concept that the mask is, so I guess it is what it is. It looks like this one has seen better days, but I did convert this from one of the official releases that were out for sale around the time that Volume 3 was released. That was when we first got officially licensed Slipknot masks, so these masks right here are going on 21 years old now, which is pretty crazy to think about. Also, why didn't we get a special Volume 3 20th anniversary thing from Slipknot? I just now thought of that. Volume 3 came out in 2004, it's 2005 now, and I don't remember seeing any sort of Volume 3 20th anniversary celebration. Maybe that's why they released the Maggot Mask 002 last year in 2024. Maybe that was like a subtle, like, haha, Volume 3 is 20 years old, but we're not going to make a big deal about it. We're just going to release this mask and hope that people figure it out. I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. What we have here is the Volume 3 Maggot mask, or the mask seen in the Vermilion music video, or all of the above. It is all of the above. Let's take a look at some classics. All right, so next up on the list, we have this vintage West German hobo mask, and this is an infamous one. Again, one of the OG oddballs, one of the first ones that ever kind of made us consider making this little subsection of Slipknot masks and Slipknot mask collecting. We have the vintage West German hobo, and it is exactly what I just said. It is a vintage West German piece, which is somewhat common amongst Slipknot collectors, specifically because Sean's mask may be the most infamous Slipknot mask of all time, and the mask that started it all, the West German clown, is a West German piece. And again, there's just something about vintage West German pieces. They have a completely different style, like it's very recognizable. You could see a West German piece and recognize immediately that it is a West German piece, and they just have so much character. They're so cool, the sculpts are awesome, and the paintwork, like how do you pack that much color and palette into such a simple hobo mask. It's just an old guy with a cigar hanging out of his mouth, but there's just so much done with the bruising and the skin tones and the bags under the eyes. It's a beautiful piece. I absolutely love this thing, and the reason that it is a Slipknot oddball is because it is a Slipknot oddball, but there was a big mystery behind this mask for a long, long time. Nobody knew exactly who was wearing this mask on stage, and I still don't know if we're allowed to say who it actually was. There's all sorts of theories and guesses and different things on the internet that will tell you who it is, but I still don't think that anybody knows for sure. They just take their best guess and stick to it. But I talked to the person that wore this mask, and I know who wore this mask, so I think that I'm going to leave the mystery alive. You guys can think that you know, and maybe you do, but probably not, because without having it verified, there's just no real way to know. Fun fact, our buddy Kenny Beardy James over in the UK actually owns the real stage-used version, which is awesome. What a cool random piece to have in your collection. And if you're going to have a stage-used mask that isn't one of the main ones, I think that having something like that from Slipknot's vast history, having a mystery piece like that with lore behind it is a very, very cool thing to have in your collection. So shout out to Kenny Beardy James and shout out to West German masks, because these things rip. Staying on the vintage course, what we have next up is a mask that I mentioned all the way back at the beginning of this video. A very insignificant yet significant piece for Slipknot oddball collecting, and that's because it wasn't used in the craziest manner. No member wore this mask. It was literally just Corey Taylor holding up a partially converted female ghost glow. But this is the counterpart to the actual mask that Corey wore for the majority of the self-titled record, the male ghost glow, or the male glowing ghost. We all call it a ghost glow, but the reality of the situation is that the mask is not actually called a ghost glow. I don't know how we adopted that name and how it changed from glowing ghost to ghost glow. I like ghost glow. I think that that sounds way cooler, but it is what it is. Just one of those things that happened over time for some reason. So yes, Corey's second mask with the band was the male ghost glow. He had it converted to look more similar to the dummy that had started to rot away. He obviously cut out the mouth and the eyes and did a bunch of stitching on the mask, got rid of this weird little horn that's on top there, and added the dreads, and it looked like somebody on Halloween 2000 decided to take one of these and convert it and throw it up on stage, and Corey got a hold of it. When I say convert it, I mean there was like a dread hanging out of it. It looked really silly. It was obviously not complete, but it did make for a cool picture and a cool stamp of Slipknot history. I'll never forget the first time that I saw Corey holding that mask up, looking absolutely perfect in his Tattoo the Earth 666 suit and his converted late stage ghost glow. It was just awesome. So while although the PMG female ghost glow itself wasn't a big part of Slipknot oddball history, it is kind of cool that it has a direct relationship with an actual main Slipknot mask, and that is the male ghost glow used by Corey. And in the photo, it's actually Corey holding this mask up with that other ghost glow. Ghost glow! Hey, shh, it's okay. It's just me and you here. And I figured, since it's just me and you here, that I could bring this up. You know, we've been sitting at the table for the majority of this video, and since it's drawing to a close, I figured it might be fun to get up and walk around the mask room, you know, stretch our legs a little, and take a look at some runner-ups, or as I like to call them, honorable mentions. See what I did there? Honorable, oddballs, honorable mentions. Okay, I'll stop. So yeah, what do you say we get up and take a look at some masks that are oddballs that I don't feel like spending a full session on, huh? Come on! All right, let's go on a journey. I guess we'll start down here on this end. We've got the row of Joeys. I know there are going to be some honorable mentions in here. For instance, I don't even know if this counts. It's not a mask of a mask Joey wore, but it's a replica of a mask that was on the Wait and Bleed animated video Puppet. So the puppet was wearing a mask. Those were masks on the puppet. But Joey wasn't wearing it, but it was also in a Slipknot music video, so I guess technically it is an oddball of some sort. This one right here, definitely an oddball. Joey never wore this, and we only saw it in one photo, but it was a backstage photo during the Iowa era with this mask surrounded by a bunch of Joey's other masks. So, oddball? I think so. In fact,
I believe that there are going to be many different Otter-ball mentions that I'm probably not even going to name all of in the Joey set alone, because Joey did have some one-off masks. We only saw this for one photo shoot, so Joey technically only wore it once. Is it an oddball, or is it one of Joey's main masks? Hard to say. Here, we've got the BCD that Joey wore before giving it to Sid to wear in the band. Joey wore this for a Mate Feed Kill Repeat show before Sid was in the band. So is it a main Slipknot mask? Yeah. But is it an oddball? Seems like it. I don't know. We've got two unworn Joey versions. This one and this one both ended up in the Knotfest Museum at one point or another. Never worn by Joey, probably fan-made, maybe an unfinished mask. But are they oddballs, or are they just Otter-ball mentions? Let's keep moving here and see what else we've got around the room. We've got the carbon fiber BCD that Sid wore one time to the Grammys last year. This was gifted to him at PaleFest 2023 by Joshua Everett, who also gave me a carbon fiber death mask of myself. So me and Sid have some matching masks there. We've got some more Sid pieces right here. We got these kind of robot shield masks. He's worn these off and on for various things. I believe that this is the version he was wearing at PaleFest 2023 when he was DJing with Ricardo. I could be wrong, but it was like a mesh of a few masks. And this one he wore to Thanksgiving when we threw that show right down the street, and Swollen Teeth performed really live for the first time ever. Ha ha ha. And I don't know, let's see what else we got. Speaking of Sid, let's focus on Sid's gas masks. Are there any oddballs here? This one, technically an oddball. Sid only wore it once, and it was for a backstage photo. He was kind of creeping around the venue in this mask so nobody would know that it was him. Keep her going, keep her go. Oh, here's two good examples. Two more Sid pieces. This one being an unwearable mask. It was a prop made out of two masks that Sid would carry around for photos during the Iowa era. And then this guy, which we only saw Sid wear one time. I don't know how you want to categorize that, because it is the Israeli. I mean, he did wear the Israeli kind of often. We only saw this version of it once as well. So, oddballs, I don't know. Otter-ball mentions, I say yes. Let's keep walking around and see what else we can find here in the main mask room. Let's go around to this side here. Oh, I see one right now, but on the way, I want to show you guys this. This is that Jay Weinberg X Paul Booth X House of Masks special 1 of 3. So Jay owns one, I own this one, and then a very lucky fan purchased the other copy, and all the proceeds went towards charity. But that oddball, I do believe so. The one that I wanted to talk about is right over here. Let's move this. It's in the Buckethead section. That's weird. That's because it's a Scream mask. It's not even really a Buckethead mask, but it's an oddball both in a sense of Buckethead and Slipknot, because there is a shot of Corey holding a Scream mask. What Scream mask? I don't know. I'm not a Scream guy. Couldn't tell you. But he was holding an old Ghostface mask at Ozfest 1999. And is that it? I don't know, probably not, but
I feel like we've done it. I feel like we have covered everything that we can possibly cover, but please, if I've missed something specific, like right now, look at this. Oh my God, hang on. Paul J. Vick Oddball, and it's a new wave oddball. This is from one of the most recent record cycles. It's an unused chrome West German clown. Wow, that thing is dusty. My bad, Paul. I promise, he's just sitting there on the shelf, but he is pretty dusty. Anyways, stuff like this. I don't think at this point I'm ever going to be able to get everything into one video from this specific collection, and I'm definitely never going to be able to give every single mask the attention that it deserves. So did we miss some? Yeah, probably. If you know what we missed specifically from my collection, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to figure something out to make that up to you guys, okay? But right now, I am maxed out. This video has taken so long to make, a lot of research, a lot of time and effort over here on the actual recording front. I've paid animators to make fun little things in between the videos. I've really gone all out, and I just want the video to be out there for you guys. You guys have waited long enough, and it's just time. So we're gonna go ahead and close this one down right now. And I'm just gonna end it by saying thank you guys so much for watching, for being here, for supporting the House of Masks. I really Hope that you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. Again, I put as much effort into this as I've ever put into any video that I've ever made. So I really appreciate you watching it. If you've made it this far, that means that you are a real one. And I don't even know how to close the video out. So let's do that giveaway thing. 5,000 likes or 50,000 views, and I will be giving away a Slipknot Oddball mask. And maybe I'll come up with some cool giveaways to go right along with that one, all right? So I'm checked out. This one's over. I'll see you guys in the next one.